redemption because I'm gangsta. Yeah, I'm praying he listens, cause I got a thorn, then it's deep in me. And I've been torn, evil is with me. Consumed with envy, lust is tempting, and I give in to sin.
Thoughts on replay, spinning again, no DJ. Running this race, no relay. Getting the scripts, no delay. I'm in need of medicine, sitting in the streets and they need a residence. Look in my closet, you might see a skeleton. Locking the door, I cannot let the devil in. But he gon' knock, knock, knock. I feel it when I'm tempted. Ain't no exemptions, got me tripping. This my disposition. Diligent inquisition hit me, then it's admonition. That's the way of life, that's the other option. So I better think twice, I'm really a mess. A real life wretch, a walking, talking wreck. Best keep saying just do it like the shoes with the check. I'm fighting to breathe, I'm starting to believe it's a knee on my neck. And Lord, it got me vexed, vexed, vexed. But I cannot be defeated, spirit won't be defeated. I need it, believe it, I find my strength and weakness. I'm eating the bread of life, upload God laws through the terabyte when I'm fighting the sin. I'm fighting to win, then go out and fight for my kin. Eat, sleep, then do it
I
again.
need salvation from this flesh. I need redemption because I'm gangsta. Yeah, I'm praying he listens, cause I got a thorn, then it's deep in me. And I've been torn, evil is with me. Consumed with envy, lust is tempting, can I give in to sin? Yeah. My carnal flesh is weighing me down, my soul is vexed. When the trumpet sound, I know we got next. But I'm throwing punches, trying to pass the test. Satan got my name coming across his desk. I'm watching my back with every step. My thoughts be vexing me, all of these bills be stressing me. Asking the Lord for the recipe, so I cook it up before the death of me. I'm chained down by mortality, I need a new body from my God without a warranty. Lord, when will it end? I know we gotta conquer sin, standing strong against the wind. This thorn pricks and it's deep within, and the man in the mirror I'm battling. So with every fast I'm killing them, starve him out, it ain't no sin for him. Feed my spirit with the benefits, restitution I need all of it. Crack the code, I'm solving it. Truth be told, I'm bossing it. I got to overcome this wickedness. Give it my all, get up when I fall, and fight for these laws. Accepting the call, and examine my flaws. Yeah, cause I know that it's me, denying desires in me, and I look to the highest for strength. I need salvation from this flesh. I need redemption because I'm gangsta. Yeah, I'm praying he listens, cause I got a thorn, then it's deep in me. And I've been torn, evil is with me. Consumed with envy, lust is tempting, and I give in to sin.
Place can't manage you what you gonna. Place can't manage you when you come. Place can't manage you in the sun. Get a million stars, what you really gonna do? But am I gonna hide? Doing on time. Now look at me now, look at me now. Now I need help, I need help now. That wouldn't work. Don't catch me. Save me from myself, I'm dangerous. I'm leaving, says enough. Everyone else to the scriptures on the lust. Don't feed it, starving it out. Make it though in a top. So I'm ready to run. But she's my friend now, so I can't pretend. I ain't pretend now, so I'm ready to win. But she's my friend now, so I can't pretend. No, I can't pretend.
I need salvation from this flesh. I need redemption because I'm gangsta. Yeah, I'm praying he listens, cause I got a thorn, then it's deep in me. And I've been torn, evil is with me. Consumed with envy, lust is tempting, can I give in to?
gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What's going on? What's going on? Mic check, mic check, mic check, 1, 2. What's going on? What up, though, big fam? This is your boy. Nah, this ain't your boy. This is your man. Old school Exit 9. And this is Surreal Sundays. Welcome back, fam. Welcome back, fam. Well, tonight we're going to be getting into RKelly. He had a episode this past week, had an overdose. So we're going to be getting into that, checking out what's going on today, the updates on that, and exactly what happened in the details. All right. And then, but before we get into the main topic of the show, we got some updates with who we got updates with? We got updates with Sean Combs. I hate calling him his stage name. That's Sean Combs. So we're going to be checking in. It was some new developments into that. Fat Joe is in the mix. Fat Joe got caught doing some or alleged some immoral acts on Fat Joe. Some updates with the Ryan Hitton case and his dad, Rodney Hitton. Updates on the officers in Memphis, the Scorpion officers and stuff, and a whole lot more. So stay tuned. And with that, without further ado, let's get it.
You are now listening to some old school shit. Yeah. Welcome back. All right. Before we get into tonight's show, let's see what's going on with the chat. Let's see what's happening. Are we already cutting up and clowning? All right. Mark Harris. Ms. O, quit flirting with your man. Who else she gonna flirt with? You dig? So keep doing your thing, Mrs. O. It pays off in the long run. All right.
And who else we got? Let's see what's going on. What's going on? What's going on? Mama is in the house. Mama, what's going on? Yeah. Mama is in the house. All right. All right. Who else we got going up in here tonight? Of course, we got Mark Harris. Mark Harris, good evening. Salute to you, sir. Mark Harris is in the house. Yeah. All right. And of course, we have, let me find her comment. Hey, baby, Mrs. O is in the house. Yeah. Mrs. O is in the house. Don't listen to Mark Harris. You keep putting in them bricks. Keep doing that thing. Like I said, it'll pay off in the long run. All right. What we got here? We got 18. 18 is in the house. What's going on, 18? Yeah. 18 is in the house. All right. So let's see what's going on with our content for tonight. First up, Fat Joe. Former hype man alleges the rapper forced him into thousands of sex acts. Can you dig that? Can you dig that? All right. Mama said lost you for a minute. Is anybody else having trouble hearing? I want to know if that was something on Mom's end, or is that an issue going on our end? Is everything good out there? Sound coming through. Video not. Oh, okay. Mom clarified it was on her end. Okay, so let's get on with the show, baby. So first up, Fat Joe.
Rapper Fat Joe has been hit with an explosive $20 million lawsuit for allegedly coercing his ex-hype man into thousands of sexual acts. In a graphic 157-page lawsuit, Terrence T.A. Dixon accuses Fat Joe, whose legal name is Joseph Cartagena, of more than a decade of abuse. The details so disturbing that there's a big trigger warning in the red on the first page of that filing. Dixon alleges that in the lawsuit, Cartagena forced him to, quote, humiliating situations, including sex acts, performed under duress and surveillance. Dixon claims he personally witnessed Cartagena engage in sexual relations with girls as young as 15, one of whom Cartagena was allegedly in love with and contemplated leaving his wife for. An attorney for Cartagena says the lawsuit is a blatant act of retaliation. NBC's Stephen Romo is on the story for us. And Stephen, Cartagena initially sued Dixon, and now Dixon is suing Cartagena. Both sides are trading allegations here.
Yeah, a lot of allegations here, but the lawsuit filed today has a lot more graphic content, if you will, Tom. Cartagena actually sued Dixon back in April on allegations that, as a former employee, he was trying to extort him for money. Well, Dixon's suit that was filed today is a lot more than just a typical employment dispute. The complaint does accuse Cartagena of underpaying him, but it goes on with many more allegations, claiming Cartagena would bring women to hotel rooms and make Dixon have sex with them in front of him and others. It also alleges that Cartagena would fly underage girls into the U.S. from Europe and that he paid for plastic surgery for one of them, and claimed that the minors were frequently cut off financially and discarded when they became non-compliant. Now, Cartagena's attorney claiming that those claims in this lawsuit are complete fabrications and lies, and saying saying, quote, "The lawsuit filed by Tyrone Blackburn and Terrence Dixon is a blatant act of retaliation, a desperate attempt to deflect attention from the civil suit we filed first." Of course, referencing that lawsuit originally filed back in April, Tom.
So we have another famous rapper being hit with a RICO charge, and we talked about Sean Diddy Combs' trial earlier in the newscast. He's also, of course, being accused of building a criminal empire here, and several of the people connected to this lawsuit have ties to other big cases, including Diddy's.
Yeah, a lot of the players involved have connections to these cases. Joe Tacopina representing Joe Cartagena, of course, that's Fat Joe. He's also represented a lot of other big clients, including President Donald Trump, A$AP Rocky, and he actually turned down representing Sean Diddy Combs himself. And then we have Tyrone Blackburn there on the right, who is right now representing Dixon, but he is also representing music producer and rapper Lil Rodney in a separate case that is against Diddy.
I was getting ready to comment, and Mark Harris hit it right on with my thought. The higher you go, the darker it becomes. Okay? Absolutely. What else do these guys have? I mean, they're able to finance their lusts. And without having any moral fabric to help restrain themselves, give them any discipline, you know, it's 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 a free fall. It's do as thy wilt, because thou can afford it, you know. Um Now, I'm not saying I don't like money, but understand this. The older I get, the more I witness people who have money, have the means. Money is not an option or obstacle. Money is not an obstacle. Um, they tend to be, they have the most problems spiritually. They tend to lose to their demons more so than those who are average lives. So the get rich or die trying mentality, I put that down a minute ago. Not too long ago, to be, but yeah, I put that down. I gave that up. Not because I don't believe that I will ever attain a certain financial status. Is that I don't want the problems that come with it. I mean, it was a time where, I mean, I've never been a millionaire. Don't get me wrong, but as far as um, medium income wise, it was like that. And problems arose. Um, was able to finance that person that I couldn't before that point. So money is a problem spiritually, and I'd rather live how I'm living right now. Okay. Um, and I see these folks. Eh, they get to a certain status and they come crashing down. Come crashing down. Mama says some people lose their soul for money. And from where I'm sitting, it looks like most people lose their soul for money. That's where I'm going with it. Most people lose their soul for money. ChatGPT says it was filed in June 19, 2025 in the Southern District of New York by its former hype man, Terrence T.A. Dixon, seeking $20 million. The 157-page complaint alleges a 16-year pattern between 2005 and 2021 of engaging with minors between the age of 15 and 16, paying 16-year-olds for fellatio, arranging cosmetic surgery for another underage girl. So he, enhanced the bust and gave them BBLs. It was at one point where it was alleged that Fat Joe was so into this child that he even contemplating on leaving his wife for this child. Okay, so it looks like Fat Joe was making um, um, more people lean back, other than what's the boxer's name? God, dog, I had his name before I started the show, and I am a boxing fan, but for some reason, thoughts escaped me at the wrong time. It'll come to me. I got to keep thinking about it. Man, it was on my tip of my tongue. I was getting ready to say Floyd, but it's not Floyd. It's Roy Jr. There it is. Roy Jones Jr. He's not the only one he made lean back. He's making a whole lot of people lean back, it looks like. Fat Joe is allegedly out here wilding out. Yes, sir. Let's go ahead and finish this article.
The lawsuit filed by Dixon is a civil RICO case, unlike Diddy's, which, of course, is a criminal RICO case. But there is a lot of crossover in these allegations here, Tom.
It's kind of head-spinning, actually, Stephen. Thanks very much.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news.
What do you want to change as a result of
All right. So that's what's going on with Roy Jones. He is a lot of these people, a lot of these entertainers, sports entertainers, music actors, they find themselves in a quite a web. So we're going to stay tuned. Let's see what else GPT got to say on that. So Fat Joe responded with a defamation suit to Dixon. Fat Joe's legal team says law enforcement is aware and they initiate steps to counterclaim. So looks like Fat Joe will be facing civil, and a criminal case has began on Fat Joe. So we'll stay tuned on that. Stay tuned on that and see how that develops.
Rapper Fat Joe has been...
All right. We got some updates with Sean Combs. That's up next. Let's see what's going on over there.
Diddy's most famous trial of the moment, Sean Diddy Combs, viewing real-life footage of the infamous sex parties known as freak-offs, described by the defense as consensual encounters, but by the prosecution as something far more sinister. Combs denies all charges. And just a warning, this story contains accounts, descriptions, and visual content of actual or alleged events that some may find disturbing. Here's Nightline co-anchor Byron Pitts.
Behind these doors, a jury seeing for the first time what the world's been talking about for months. Videos of those notorious so-called freak-offs involving Sean Diddy Combs.
These are the videos that depicted Cassie Ventura with male escorts. And these videos, explicit though they are at the heart of the prosecutor's case to help convince the jury that Cassie Ventura was trafficked for sex.
In a key moment of this trial, wearing headphones, jurors were shown excerpt videos of freak-offs played in the courtroom for the first time today. The videos coming from a laptop belonging to Cassie Ventura.
When it came time to play these video excerpts of freak-offs, jurors put on headphones, so did the lawyers and Sean Combs. The public screens were shut off because the gallery was not allowed to see or hear these explicit videos. But as the excerpts played, we could faintly hear the sound of music and moaning noises.
The jury also shown text messages between Combs and Ventura, in which prosecutors say he texted her, "Want to celebrate Christmas and have a freak-off tonight or Friday?" Further text messages, they said, were summoning escorts to a hotel. Also at the center of today's court proceedings, text messages, emails, and documents shown in court.
The videos came with hotel receipts, credit card statements, travel records that helped give the jury a full picture of how Sean Combs allegedly got her and male escorts to different hotel rooms for the purposes of these sexual encounters.
Sean Combs stands accused of sex trafficking, racketeering, and prostitution, all charges he denies. But as the government wraps up its case over the next couple of days, a major moment in court this morning, Judge Aaron Sabramian dismissing a juror number 6, for lack of candor. The juror originally saying he lived in the Bronx with his fiancée, but he apparently told a court staff member that he had recently moved in with his girlfriend in New Jersey.
The worry about a juror who gives incomplete or not really forthright answers is that they could be what's called a stealth juror, someone who is answering questions in a way that is untruthful, but to get onto a jury, to be able to give a verdict that they want, either guilty or not guilty. And that's something that no one wants in the jury.
The judge saying the record raised serious concerns as to the juror's candor and whether he shaded answers to get on and stay on the jury, going on to say there's nothing the juror could say at this point that would put the genie back in the bottle.
It is far better to remove a juror that has issues as to candor or...
Boy, it's all kinds of turns and twists going on in this soap opera. Now they talking about they got to remove a juror from this. But I'm with it was a comment earlier. Mrs. O said she was a willing participant, so I'm not there. I don't know what's all being said, but I kind of I find it hard that sex trafficking is even part of the conversation. Okay. So I know they got to shoot for the highest, for the top of charges, and then you settle for the lesser ones and what have you after that, and that's pretty much how things is played in most cases, especially when most of the evidence has a subjective a more of a subjective element than a objective element. So I'm kind of finding it hard that things like this is going to stick. As far as the violence and running a criminal empire, the RICO charges, that may have more weight. They might get them on something like that. But as far as these sexual escapades, I don't believe it's going to stick at all. If it do, well, it was, there's still righteous judgment on him. But I don't think that it will. I believe the more violent components of his case will have more weight than anything else. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Corey Joe is in the house. All right, so let's go ahead and finish this up.
More jurisdictional defects now than if a verdict was rendered. Because if a verdict was rendered, that could be a bigger issue of appeal, that a person gave an incomplete or wrong answer to get on the jury and then rendered either a guilty or not guilty verdict.
The defense raising concerns about the dismissal, noting that he was one of 2 black men on the jury.
The defense lamented that removing juror number 6, a 41-year-old black man, would make the jury less diverse. The judge said that was not a concern with this particular juror. He said he was sympathetic to the defense concerns generally, but he noted the makeup of this jury already includes a number of people of color.
This week marks what's expected to be the final week of testimony in the government's case before Combs' attorneys take over to present.
You know, Mom said, just let me put this up here. Duffy was getting too big, so the white man had to let him know who's still in charge. Just saying. Exactly. And that's how it is with a lot of these cases. What's going on? It either you veer off and are not following the program, so they delete you, or they get you in some type of scandal or what have you. So I was telling Miss O when this stuff popped off initially, I said his handlers came to him, said they needed him to do something again or what have you. Sean Puffy Combs got all these endorsements and everything and what have you. And now, like Mom said also, that, you know, he feels he's untouchable. So now they're giving him a thorough ass whooping right about now, reminding him of his place. Okay, I believe that. I believe that they wanted their palms greased again, not with baby oil, but and then Puffy was like, no, I'm tired of playing the game. I'm all set. You can't touch me. And they're like, oh, well, let me remind you exactly who you messing with. So you don't cross the small hat people, as Take Heed would say. You know what I'm saying? Amalek, Esau. You don't cross the small hat people. You do exactly what they tell you to do, for as long as they tell you to do it, or they'll reverse everything that they gave you, bottom line. And put you in a worse state than you was when you first started out. Let's finish this article.
Present his defense. The prosecution making their final push with exhibits they hope will help prove the charges of transportation to engage in prostitution. Federal prosecutors are alleging that Combs orchestrated a criminal enterprise with the assistance of his bodyguards to pressure witnesses like Combs' former assistant testifying as Mia to, quote, stay silent and not report what they experienced or knew.
The jury saw some additional messages from one of Sean Combs' longtime bodyguards. He goes by D-Rock. She said the outreach from D-Rock and from Combs himself made her terrified. Federal prosecutors no doubt want to leave the jury with the impression that Combs was behind the scenes pulling the strings as part of his alleged orchestration of a criminal enterprise.
The jury was also presented with text and audio messages meant to reinforce testimony from other witnesses about hotel rooms, drugs, and travel. One group of messages between Combs' chief of staff, Christina Coram, and Combs' travel arranger discussing a flight for Jane and an escort named Paul. In one 2018 exchange, Ventura allegedly told Coram, quote, I can't do that violent, scary, kick me out of my own house stuff anymore. To which Coram responded, I'm sure. Stay focused, though. It's not worth derailing. that much I know.
The government will present this as we are getting information that Christina Coram knows about the violence towards Cassie from Sean Combs, and that she is saying, stay focused, don't get derailed. That could be a part of the coercion or the force in that RICO or sex trafficking charge. But the defense will make their own arguments and say that Christina Coram is not part of a criminal enterprise, but merely a confidant and friend of Cassie Ventura.
Okay, so as far as a update and key developments in the case, the prosecutors have called roughly 3 dozen witnesses, right, including ex-girlfriends like Casey and a former assistant, Brendan Paul, who testified under immunity. They described drug-fueled freak-offs, elaborate step-ups involving illicit substances. The evidence includes graphic photos, firearms, drugs, things of that nature, all right? So the defense, with the prosecution expected to rest this week, the defense will begin its presentation. They plan to argue that while rough or violent behaviors may have occurred, because there is evidence of that, so they can't argue that. So that's why they say may have occurred, even though that the sexual encounters were consensual. And I don't think they're gonna hang them on that. Diddy has chosen not to testify, which is always best, especially in a cross-examination. When you're in the hot seat, them lawyers are trained psychologists. They will get you emotional and trip you up. Courtroom challenges. The trial has faced multiple disruptions due to jury issues, including dismissals and illness-related delays. Prosecution are seeking removal of at least one juror for credibility concerns. The judge has denied motion for mistrial, including allegations of perjured testimony by a balcony incident involving Casey. Okay. So what's next? Prosecutor nearing the end of their case. The defense will present theirs over the next few days. Jury deliberations will begin late June, early July. Verdict potentially by Independence Day weekend. Okay. If convicted on charges including self-trafficking and racketeering, Sean Combs could face a lifetime sentence. I think they're gonna get him on the guns, if there were illegal guns, the illegal drugs, and the violence. Okay, and if he's sending out his soldiers to do his work, then that's a criminal enterprise, right? The evidence is heavily centered on coerced freak-offs, drug use, photos, and substances, and weapons. So they really, according to what I'm getting from ChatGPT, the prosecution is really laying heavy on the freak-offs. Okay, but that was just I believe that was a tactic, now that I'm thinking about it, to destroy any credibility on anything else. Okay, so we got you doing these illicit acts and what have you, and well, we already proven that you are an immoral person. Okay, and that lays heavy on the jury, right? So I believe that was a move more than anything else. Then, because I don't believe they're gonna actually get them on anything sexual. So that was a strong chess move to destroy any moral credibility that Sean was going to try and play. All right. Next up, let's see what's going on in the chat. Okay, we got a conversation going on between Mark Harris and Mom. Said Vanessa, that's funny. That's a funny thing. People believe they can escape divine judgment. Right. Everyone gets judgment in the end. No one escapes judgment. You can be forgiven if you stop, if you repent and stop the continuance of that sin. That you still gonna get, the Most High still gonna spank that ass. Okay, you ain't getting off the hook. All right, you ain't getting off the hook. You might get a lesser charge if you stop doing what you was doing, but you gonna get something. You're going to get something. All right, next up in the lineup, we got another article from News Nation. I'm not about to go into that. Jurors see clips of the freak off and what have you. So for them to see it, to hear it, you know, that puts an image in your head that they will never erase, and it will come up when they're in deliberation for the real stuff, the guns, the drugs, the violence. That's gonna play in their head, even though they ain't, you know, it's gonna lean more towards that. I believe it's still gonna play in their head, and I don't think Combs is gonna be able to get off the hook on that. Let's see what we got going on. More. Let's. I had the word. More immoral acts. Let me get the definition for something right quick. Okay. Well, I could have came up with that. It was a term that I was specifically looking for, but it's an abuse of authority. So we have another case of correctional officers being engaged sexually with inmates. Okay, let me cue this up. All right, so let's get into it.
Tonight, guards gone wild.
News 5 investigators uncovering a string of Cuyahoga County Corrections officers accused of crossing the line, taking part in unprofessional behavior with the people they're paid to watch.
Now, News 5 investigator Scott Knoll tells us even the union representing those.
Did you see that shit? They so into what they doing, the horse playing, she totally just forgot she's on stage. Totally forgot she's at work. I mean, she's just having big fun. Let's play that again.
Cuyahoga County corrections officers accused of crossing the line, taking part in unprofessional behavior with the people they're paid to watch.
Now News 5 investigator Scott Knoll tells us even the union representing those officers says something has got to change.
The allegations,
how often do you drink on the job,
seem unbelievable. Is this just jailers gone wild in some cases?
Sometimes it looks like that.
From a so-called fight club behind bars to accusations of drug smuggling, we're not talking about the inmates.
I hope you understand how much of a security risk you are.
It's corrections officers in the hot seat.
Some of this stuff is not just a dumb mistake that causes you to lose your job. Some of this stuff potentially puts you in prison.
News 5 investigators discovered 5 different corrections officers placed on leave or fired in the last 7.5 months for a string of incidents involving what the union calls inappropriate relationships with inmates.
Have you ever seen kind of case after case after case after case like this?
No.
Take Shantia Kirkland. Investigators say she disguised her identity to send emails and do video chats with the father of her child.
I made you, because I made you.
Who was also an inmate, locked up, facing murder charges. Even, in one case, overseeing his pod while working as a jailer. Administrators say she also discussed jail business with him. She was fired in April. The same month, deputies say they watched as another...
Now, they created this shit. And they created this shit. What else did you think was going to manifest by having opposite sex correctional officers? So that's the female with the male prisoners and then the males with the female prisoners. What did you think was going, you wanted this shit to go down. In some situations, some environments, you should not have opposite sex. It's enough that when they off to themselves that they go on to themselves. You can't stop that, but we know that this is one dynamic that we can avoid. We can not create. And this is inappropriate relationships between men and women in these environments. Women correctional officers need to deal with the women and the men with the men. And I believe that should be the case for school. That should be the case for gyms. Mrs. O say they dropping it low for white Jesus.
In the name of white Jesus.
Yeah, they dropping it low for everybody. Whoever wants to see, feel, and taste, they dropping it for them. Nasty. Absolutely nasty.
You a nasty ass motherfucker.
Yeah, nasty.
Corrections officer Kiana Thompson picked up drugs from the mother of an inmate and told investigators she planned to smuggle them into the jail. Thompson remains on paid administrative leave.
If all those facts are true, I mean, it's just disgusting.
So what's going on?
As a sociologist, I see patterns.
Daniela Yauk-Ajami is an assistant professor at the University of Akron with expertise in women in the criminal justice system.
Do you believe, based on what you've seen, Cuyahoga County Jail has an organizational problem here?
I would absolutely say yes.
She says research shows women working in jails may be targeted for exploitation.
Women have to rely more on compliant residents, and it goes incrementally, the grooming process, right? There is a collaboration and it builds from there.
Particularly at risk, she says, newer corrections officers. Toyana Lard was.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, because women are the weaker vessel, right? So they're gonna be more. They're gonna have more tendencies to fall for the trap. But you got a lot of simps out there, right? Who are in a position where they may feel like, you know, I got all this jailhouse hoo-hoo, you know, and they have lied to themselves. They are in a delusion that makes them think that they're in control, and actually the female prisoners are in control. They're getting used on both sides of the fence and what have you. But we all know what needs to be done. Will they do it? Hell no, because they like the chaos. Okay, they like the chaos. It's just, you know, we're gonna throw in another door for you to choose, and you already weak-minded. You don't make good decisions anyway. That's why your ass is in prison, right? So you're gonna succumb to your flesh once again, make the wrong decision. And as far as the correctional officers and what have you, they lustful too. They think they are in a delusion, and they believe that they have the upper hand. They have the upper hand, and it was a series. I think it was Orange was the new something. Orange, I don't know if it was the Orange is the new black. I know it was Orange something. So they had different elements like that in that scene. I mean, in that show. It was a Latino prisoner. She got pregnant by one of the correctional officers and what have you. I think it was Orange is the new black. Can't really. Orange is the new black. Thank you, Mrs. O. Orange is the new black. One of these crime shows showed a real life situation where the correctional officer was seduced, or he allowed himself to be seduced. He already in his lust, so the female prisoner was able to get him into a situation where she was able to shank him. So she got him to where they was close enough, and he was vulnerable enough, and it was secluded enough where she was able to commit that violent act. So in a lot of areas, there needs to be a divide, okay, to minimize, to abate the bullshit that goes on when we are together, okay? That's just the bottom line. Let's go ahead and finish out the article.
Was on the job less than a year when a supervisor caught Lard engaged in what investigators called horseplay with an inmate. During an interview with investigators, Lard admitted to talking to and flirting with inmates on the phone, depositing money into their jail accounts, even bringing tequila into the jail and giving it to an inmate.
I gave him 2 spray bottles, and I gave him one of
one of the spray bottles he sprayed the pot with, and the other one he took it and poured it into a cup.
The county fired her in March. Yauk Ajami says administrators need to go a step further, creating what she calls a culture of integrity.
That might involve mental health support, that might involve wellness programs, that might involve outlets for correctional officers to get the support they need so they do not have to fraternize with residents.
While the union representing corrections officers says things have hit a breaking point.
We don't want.
Did she say that they need support so they don't feel the need to fraternize? What you gonna do? Provide them something to screw before they go punch the clock? You know what I'm saying? Get wore out real quick. Get them, tire them out real quick before they punch in for work so they don't feel the need to deal with nobody else. That ain't gonna work. The Zoe said, stop giving these birds a slap on the wrist. Even if they did, even if they stopped giving slaps on the wrist per se, the problem is there's no P or D discipline going on. Okay, for the male inmates, they they in their lust and way, but most men have a plan on what they doing, right? And some women do as well, but more so men, right? So so most times they plan is to get something out of her. So like they were saying earlier, she's bringing stuff in and what have you, and dropping money on the books and what have you, bringing in contraband, things of that nature. Okay, so this will help the male inmate with what he's trying to do on the inside. Okay, um, and he's also in his lust and what have you. And I'm assuming that's the same case for female inmates, but more on the emotional side or what have you, or a man hating side, like the story that I expressed a couple minutes ago. Okay, and that I wish I remembered before the show so I can pull it up or at least look for it, see if I could find it. But her ultimate goal was just to shank the motherfucker. So she had a man-hating spirit. She didn't really want anything tangible out of him. All right. Um, so for women, for the most part, it's more so, the emotional need rather they trying to fulfill their lust in regards to their hatred, or they trying to fulfill a sexual lust or what have you. But be that as it may, however we speculated, one way or the other, if they will just separate, you would cut out at least this portion of the bullshit that goes on up in there. 18 said, I don't understand these female officers. Why would you think you can date an inmate? I mean, they got what? Dating sites and stuff and pen pal things and what have you. Folks marrying inmates, they haven't, had any kind of real contact, but through letters and video chat. And next thing you know, they marrying each other over the video or what have you. And dumb shit, you know. Some inmates take care of the female officers. And inmate in Baltimore impregnated 4 officers. They stated beefing over him. Okay. All right. Wow. He had him a harem up in there. And now he got the females fighting over him. Pure chaos. Pure chaos. Pure chaos.
You're such a dumb piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. All what's going on up in there is this stupidity. But like I said, this is fabricated, manufactured chaos. This is something that they want, something else extra that they want in the system. Then turn around and say, "Oh, we need to change the system." Oh, well, you know what it was when you implemented this thing, right? As far as testing people's mental, I mean, you can apply that idealism to, well, they do have a psychological examination for police officers, but that don't work. They need to have that for healthcare providers and what have you. It's teachers. If you think about it, any occupation where there's close contact between one human being and another, it should be some type of mental evaluation. But even if you implement that, I mean, it does screen out some, but it's proven that quite a few get through it, i.e. police officers and what have you. But anytime there's interaction between one person or another, it should be some type of evaluation. Bottom line, right? People looking for or are subjected to or looking for services from someone else and what have you, and you should have some type of security or have some type of belief that you are in a safe place and what have you. Unfortunately, that does not exist. It will not exist because this is what they want. Let's go ahead and finish off this video.
These salacious cases where somebody brings in drugs to the jail allegedly, or somebody is having an inappropriate relationship with inmates, giving them tequila from a spray bottle. Like, that makes everyone look bad, and it makes it so much harder for those officers to do their job.
They're fed up.
Oh, they are. They've been fed up for a long time with the county's hiring practices.
The union calling for stricter screening of jailers, things like polygraph tests and deep dives into applicants' backgrounds, hoping to weed out potential problems before they get into the jail.
When you put officers that have actually done things that are truly in violation, that are truly putting officers and inmates in harm's way, you degrade life safety in that jail.
We asked the county for an interview to discuss concerns about the hiring process. Instead, we got a statement from a spokesperson about holding corrections officers to the highest standards. We asked again about the union's concerns about screening applicants. The spokesperson emailed us back saying no further comment. Reporting live, I'm News 5 investigator Scott Knoll.
Offer, first of all,
Mrs. O, Mrs. O, Mrs. O, Mrs. O says, how about putting COs where it's gender appropriate? Yeah, and that's what I've been screaming. It's a real simple fix. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Let's talk about, let's take what's going on up in there. Let's take that off the table, right? As far as the inappropriate relationships. Female COs in a male prison or jail. That right there is a no-go. The professor stated that female COs have to rely on the inmate willfully submitting, cooperating. Because, excuse me, they know they can't, you can't whoop them. The female COs can't whoop them. Easily can get overpowered. That's a dangerous situation off rip. We ain't even talking about the inappropriate relationships. But y'all gonna do everything a man can do, so have at it. Enjoy yourselves. And which y'all have been enjoying yourselves, so obviously that's why we're talking about it tonight. Next up in the lineup, family of Ryan Hinton, the young man who was deleted by the Cincinnati Police Department. His family speaks this past week. Let's see what. Yeah, about 5 days ago. This happened 5 days ago. So let's get into it.
Offer, first of all, that justice comes in many forms. One of the things that we did not see today was justice coming from the criminal justice system. But justice is still going to be obtained, and we're here to ensure that that is the case. What I heard from our prosecutor today was a word that confuses and astounds, but doesn't surprise me. And that is justified. The prosecutor said that she ruled that this was a justified shooting. But what have we not seen? Didn't see it today, haven't seen it since May 1st. A gun in a young man's hand as he was running away from someone who was not even in uniform standing to his side shooting at him. We saw today in a press conference slow down shots to justify what our eyes didn't tell us we saw. How was that justified? What we saw in a press conference today was conversation about a young man who with his friends were somewhere in Kentucky beforehand and what he was wearing at another time. What have we heard about the officer whose words we're taking as credible in this instance? All I heard were letters referring to people's names, including someone who took the life of another person. Justified? That's not our position. And that's certainly not the family's position. What we know is when we talk about our court system, the most important piece when it comes to obtaining justice is the credibility of those involved. Credibility comes when we look at physical evidence like videos and still shots and body-worn camera. Credibility is established when you look at the records of those who were giving statements. What is the record of the primary officer here who pulled the trigger and shot, as the chief said, in the chest when we know it wasn't the chest, it was the side? What is that officer's background? We know it. And we know his jacket with the Citizens Complaint Authority and with internal investigations is not empty. And we ask the question, why is his word the credible word that the prosecutor's office is willing to take in such a serious matter? We don't think it should be. And we express to you today that justice will be obtained. Two of the things that we want to press today about what the prosecutor did. First of all, we obviously disagree with the idea that this was justified. Second of all, there are neighboring jurisdictions who take every serious police case, shooting, homicide, to the grand jury to let citizens look at the evidence and make a decision whether the charges are appropriate. For the prosecutor's office to unilaterally decide based on the reading of the facts and based on the reading of the law that they shouldn't even present this should have been presented to the grand jury. In 2020, after George Floyd was murdered, Governor DeWine proposed several amendments to our state law policies. One of those state law policies that with serious shootings or homicides involving police officers, that an independent body be the investigating, not the entity that was at the source of the shooting itself. We believe that those ought to be the policies that our office in this county ascribes to. Transparency, trust, a system that people believe in. That's what helps to get there. But unilaterally deciding that this is justified and that this shouldn't even go to the grand jury, that doesn't feel like justice. And it certainly doesn't feel to this family like this was justified. We will, in the coming weeks, be presenting our argument to the courts. And even though a group of citizens didn't have the opportunity in that building to decide whether criminal charges should be filed, we believe that a group of citizens should be the ones to make the determination of whether or not, in the eyes of the civil courts, that the tragic death of young Ryan Hinton was not justified. And we intend to advocate for that position as loudly, as strongly, and as intentionally as we can. I believe there's one voice that would like to be heard, and since it's raining, I'll ask him to come on up quickly. You do want to? This is the voice that you've heard before. This is Ryan Hinton's brother, cousin. That's what I said. It's his cousin. He's been at the other press conferences, and he does have a brief word that he'd like to offer.
Yeah, I just, like I said, like he said, I'm his cousin. I'm Marlon. Ryan, my little cousin. I just want to say, Ryan, we miss you. We love you down here. We all miss you and love you, man. Like, more than you know, bro. But I just want to say, the prosecutor, whatever she said, or what I
I'm not going to finish this part of the video. If they was going to put him in front of the camera. I know he's kind of nervous and what have you. And, you know, I get that. If this was what he's smiling for, I believe is a mechanism to war off the nervousness that he may be experiencing in front of the camera right now. Most definitely he should have been prepped. So not I don't know how they did this. They always do this, is put the wrong person in front of the camera. And well, hey, now I know I'm not the greatest public speaker, but this dude right here needed to be prepped, especially for a situation like this. I wanted to go into a scripture that this reminds me of. I'm gonna hop right into it. Okay. Well, we tested this before, and before we came on here. Bible app is not working again tonight. No problem. Let's go here. Let's see if I can find this. Bible. Yeah, Bible.com, I think. No, this ain't it. No, I think that don't look like it. Goodness gracious, I hate when things do not work out. And I had quite a bit of scripture. Let me find this. I guess this will work. Let me find. They better have the King James version in here. I hate this because it kind of messes up the flow. New King James, we ain't doing New King James. And then it might not have the Apocrypha in here because I got some in the Apocrypha, authorized King James. All right, so I'm gonna try and find something because I got to get these scriptures out. Meanwhile, while we are gonna go ahead and get into another video, Rodney hitting the dad. We're gonna do an upstate on what's going on with him. So let's hop right into it. Let me pull it up. And while this is playing, I'm gonna try and find a suitable online Bible so we can get these scriptures out. Next time I'm just gonna have it up as backup in case this thing doesn't work. The next time I try it, it's ticking me off so much. I just might try and find something within OBS, the software we use to stream, and just have it inside OBS. But be that as it may, let's get back to the show. Change the scene. Change the owner. It's still the same owner. WL, WT. 5. All right, let's get it.
All right, 12:05, the man accused of using his vehicle as a weapon to kill a Hamilton County deputy was in court today. Rodney Hinton Jr. is facing the death penalty.
Today, we're learning of motions and new information about key video related to this case. And WLWT News 5's Brian Hamrick was in the courtroom for that hearing. Brian, what can you tell us at this hour?
Yeah, well, we learned today that there is video from inside the police station the day police showed Hinton the body cam of his son being shot to death by officers. Now, that could be key for the defense. Rodney Hinton Jr. appeared in court today for a motions hearing. His attorney, Clyde Bennett, and a new attorney on the case, James Bogan, are asking for all videos. In addition to body cam, there is also video from inside the police station. Prosecutors said Hinton was so agitated, so upset that family wouldn't even let him drive home that day. He came back later, picked up his car, and that's when police say he drove to the campus and ran over Hamilton County Deputy Larry Henderson. Defense has already indicated they believe Hinton had a psychotic episode triggered by seeing that body cam, and they say that's what led him to kill the deputy. The defense says there are hours of video in addition to the police station video, and those could all be important to their case.
And it was recorded at the scene, yes. Transport to the University Hospital, that was recorded. When he was at the University Hospital, when he was transported to Claremont County, when he was transported from Claremont County to the Hamilton County Jail, 1 or 2 days after this happened, all of that is relevant with respect to his mental state. I need that information ASAP. I filed for it a month ago, and I expect to have it within the next week or two, according to
So, in this case and the son's case, they're asking for discovery, information that the prosecutor is holding on, and they have not given it yet. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. I found the online Bible, and let's see. Okay, I think that's up and up. I was already at its largest font. Let's go ahead. This, well, not so this, but most definitely his son's case, and a myriad of other cases. Let me switch over to where we can do this. All right. Zechariah 5. (11 and 5). Okay, so let me just move this to where your eyes can catch it quick. Right here, where it says the flock of the slaughter. That's the end of verse 4. Verse 5, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. Okay, so that reminds me of this, and we got a myriad of other stories similar where the police have been the actually was the one wrong, or they were the aggressor, for lack of better terms. And somehow, some way, they found that loophole that I've told you about before, and just blatantly just saying, well, hey, we don't believe the cop, we believe the cop was within his scope of duties, so he gets a pass, So I wanted to bring that out because that's what that reminded me of. Oh, okay. I see what was going on with that. Fell all the way behind. And that. Wow. How did that happen? One moment. Okay. All right. I see what's going on. All right. So both cases, defense is asking for what the prosecutor has, and they still holding on to it. So in the son's case, they deemed that the officers were within the scope of their duties. They're asking how come they doesn't go to a grand jury, things of that nature. So they're trying to dismiss it and not even have they're not trying to have trial in regards to this. Cops get a pass, going back to work. I believe that the most what's going to happen is those officers are not going to be held liable, and the most that the family is going to be able to expect to get is something on something civilly, a civil case, money. So they'll be able to sue the department. The city will cash them out, get the fuck on. I don't want to hear from you no more. And then the family goes off with the money, and the story fades off into the sunset. And we've seen this scenario play out time and time again. Well, most definitely, Ma. Because they're trying to sweep it under the rug. Most definitely. But the lawyer said that, one of the officers, if not, I believe the one who actually did the fatal shot, he has his record is smudged. It's not clean. So he said he had some paperwork in his file, got some complaints, got some internal investigative instances, internal affairs investigations. Trying to get that out. he had some internal affair investigations. So, so this cop is not clean. He has a track record. So I don't believe it's going to catch any steam, not the way things is going right now with that case. And the most the family's going to be able to expect out of it is something as far as monetarily. As far as the cop being held criminally, I don't believe that's going to happen. It's not going in that case. As far as Rodney Harris, it seems like their psychotic episode defense right now, it looks like a strong one. So he has a history of mental illness. They have video of him coming in, actually reacting to the news of his son passing, you know, things of that nature. So they got a lot of evidence that suggests that he can have a mental episode, a psychotic episode, and do what he has done. So they still gonna find a way to put him away for a while. So if anything, he's gonna probably end up in a mental home and spend some time there. Okay, so they're probably gonna do that, dope him up real good, and what have you. But he's not, I don't believe he's gonna see the streets again anytime soon. He's not coming home anytime soon. They're gonna put him in some type of institution. That's where I believe he's headed. All right, where we at? We are an hour and 30 minutes into the show. Let's hit what the officers in Memphis. Let's hit that right quick. Let's see what's going on right there.
Well, two of the former Memphis officers charged in Tyre Nichols' death now want a new trial. Justin Smith and Demetrius Haley have filed motions saying there were problems with the original trial and how Judge Mark Norris handled it. Judge Norris recently stepped down, and now Judge Cheryl Littman is taking over. A hearing is set for next Wednesday, June 25th. Smith was convicted on one federal charge, Haley on 4. Both were found not guilty on all state charges, including murder.
Continuing our team coverage for you tonight, Emmett Martin, one of the former officers, is making his mental health the centerpiece of his state case.
His attorney claims 2 diagnosed medical conditions could have clouded his judgment the night Tyre Nichols was beaten to death in 2023. Fox 13 health reporter Mandy Rock is live at 201 Poplar.
I need a new soundbite. Something along the lines of, hold up, wait a minute. Did this cop, ex-cop, whatever, did this dude just come out his bag of bullshit and say that he has a history of, did you put that on your application, sir? Because if you did, you wouldn't have a badge right now. That's crazy. That's crazy. So, okay, you saying, let's look at his application. Let's pull that up. I'm real interested on what he put on his application now. Because if you have mental issues, they ask you, if you a CPL holder in Michigan, before you become one, they ask you if you got a history of mental issues. And if you check off yes, you're not getting a license. And I'm strongly sure, I'm gonna leave it on the assumption side. I strongly assume that if you divulge the fact that you had mental issues prior to this application that you putting on a table, they're gonna say, nope, you can't be an officer. And I believe when you apply for these type of positions, it's under oath. You can get hit with, I believe the term is perjury. I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Yeah, a willful act of lying or making false statements under oath, typically during legal proceedings, such as in court, depositions, or sworn affidavits. And I believe that the applications for applications for officer fall underneath the affidavit side. Okay, so he should be getting hit with those charges. I want to know what's on this application. That's real interesting that you want to pull this out your bag. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Let's finish this up.
Mandy, so what could this really mean in court?
Yeah, that's right. And in these new filings, Martin's attorney says that he suffers from PTSD and antisocial personality disorder, and those conditions made it hard for him to distinguish right from wrong during the incident. The filing asks the judge to permit testimony from 2 doctors who examined Martin. Both say brain injuries he suffered on and off the job and trauma he experienced in the line of duty harmed his mental health and may have contributed to his actions in the Nichols case. I spoke with a law enforcement expert who says officers often face high-stress situations, which is a major risk factor for mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, and PTSD.
I think it's more common there because these are things that they see on an active and regular basis. They actually have mental evaluations for law.
Well, if that's the case, it's such of a thing called dex duty. It was an officer back in the 90s. He had like an abnormal amount of shootings, right? I forget his name. This is when the headquarters was on Beaubien. For all you Detroiters, you know what I'm talking about, 1300 Beaubien, right? So this was like the early 2000s. This is when I first became a CPL holder, right? So I had to, when you purchased because I was living in Detroit at the time. So when you purchased a pistol during that time, you had to take it down to the headquarters to get a safety inspection, some bullshit formality they wanted you to jump through, right? So I'm down at Beaubien taking care of my business. This officer is in in that division of the police department. Now they took him off the streets. Now he's processing weapons. So if this dude done had all kinds of, he done seen too much, he done bumped his head too many times, now he's cuckoo for his fucking Cocoa Puffs, he should be off the streets. Let alone, this dude is on a special unit. He's on a Scorpion unit with his crazy ass. He's the stinger on the fucking Scorpion. Where the hell? I mean, man, the holes in this system, right? Your ass wasn't screaming that you was cuckoo for your Cocoa Puffs when you punched in that day, when you clocked in. You ain't said, oh, I'm cuckoo for my motherfucking Cocoa Puffs. I don't think I need to be on. You clocked the fuck in with your crazy ass, and you was like, who we gonna fuck up tonight? That's what you was on. That's what you have been on. It's just this time, the person that y'all did this thing to, he wasn't strong enough to get through it. I mean, if that's what y'all on, you know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be fucking with featherweights. You should be, whipping men 200 pounds and more, you know what I'm saying? So, this dude can take a licking and keep on ticking afterwards. But you gonna grab a featherweight tonight, and y'all did what y'all did, and he succumbed to his injuries. It caught up with you. And now you want to claim you was cuckoo for your fucking Cocoa Puffs. You's a complete demon. You's worse than the white man. Worse than the white man. Remind me of that scene in Boys in the Hood when the cop had what's his name had his gun up to him. They got pulled over. I should find that clip. I'm gonna go ahead and keep it moving.
Law enforcement personnel, and one of those components is how do you process and deal with traumatic events, and that is one of the questions they do ask on the mental acuity test to even get into law enforcement.
And coming up at 6, we'll hear from a lawyer about how often mental health arguments are used in criminal trials. And also, we'll go over some of the resources that are available to officers who may be struggling with their mental health. Daryl?
That is Fox 13's Mandy Rock reporting live tonight.
If you struggling with mental health, your ass should be at a desk. You shouldn't be on the streets. You should be in control of gun permits and evidence, the evidence room. So a lot of times, I don't know. It's speculation what I'm getting ready to go into. That, a lot of times mental health comes, there's some medication that comes along with that. So when you get that random, that should come up. And when that come up, that should bring questions, but that's speculation. I might be totally off with that. I'm just trying to scour some ideas, trying to come up with some type of reasonable reason on how he got through with what have you. Mom said, hey, Mom said the department knows he's a loose cannon. They just don't care. As long as it's not on paper. if it actually is on paper and there's a third party or fourth parties involved, then they have to act on it. I don't think they want that liability. No one's that special to keep them on the force, keep them on the street, and why I just don't. Mark said, "Hey, I don't know if they do yearly examinations. I know they got to recertify with their weapon every so often, but as far as I know they go through evaluation after a shooting. So I know they get evaluated with that, and most departments have a SOP on that. They gotta be off for a period of time after that, and what have you. But I don't know if it's a yearly thing where they get their brain checked out. I think it's on a case, not a case by case, but on a event by event basis, or what have you, when they get their noggin checked out and what have you. And I can see where in most cases they just checking off the boxes to get him back out on the street and what have you. I can see that going down. So, but then you want to turn around and say, hey, it was actually a problem. I was cuckoo for my fucking Cocoa Puffs, and I knew it. But I went out there and projected my craziness on the innocent public. That one floored me. I'm bewildered, baffled and bewildered on that one. That confused the shit out of me. Now you want to claim you cuckoo for your Cocoa Puffs. Something else in this case is going down. Let's check it out.
We're following.
Switch scenes right quick.
Following breaking news at 10 tonight, just days before sentencing of 5 former Memphis police officers in the death of Tyre Nichols, the federal judge in the case has recused himself. Hello, I'm Stephanie Skurlock.
And I'm Greg Hurst. This is shaking things up. Judge Mark Norris says that he will no longer be over the sentencing, leaving a lot more questions about what comes next. WREG investigator April Thompson has more on this unexpected twist in the case.
Judge Mark Norris issuing this one-line order Friday evening related to the case of Emmett Martin and other police officers in the beating death of Tyre Nichols, saying his court recuses itself and returns the cases to the clerk for reassignment to another judge. It comes as Tadarius Bean and Justin Smith were set to be sentenced Monday and Demetrius Haley Tuesday for their federal convictions in the trial last fall that went for weeks. What this means going forward leaves a lot of uncertainty. WREG spoke to one of the officer's attorneys in the case moments after the recusal. He said one thing is almost certain: there will be no sentencing on Monday. Several things have to be sorted out, including who will preside over the sentencing now, and several newly filed motions have to be considered. It comes as many were hoping next week's sentencing would finally have led to closure for a city in need of healing.
This is the first step towards healing the community. This is the first step towards redemption. Hopefully, this will allow law enforcement and the community to start to heal together and to come back together.
After the state trial, where the 3 officers were acquitted of all charges, Tadarius Bean and Justin Smith were found guilty of obstruction on the federal side and could be sentenced to up to 20 years. Demetrius Haley, who was found guilty of more charges, could get up to life in prison in federal sentencing. But it's all at the discretion of the judge. And right now, who that judge will be and when the sentencing will happen is up in the air.
Everyone is still shocked and surprised from the state court ruling. And
so now the federal judge is removing himself from sentencing these idiots. some weird shit going on. I don't know. They already got off on the state level and what have you. So, there's some they wiggling their fingers and waving their little wand, doing some witchcraft, looking for a way to get these dudes off federally as well, and what have you. So, some kind of mistrial, some shit they doing. I'm not sure what, but it does not sound on the up and up as usual, and it's to be expected. Okay, so we got a motherfucker who's now claiming he's cuckoo for his Cocoa Puffs, and now the judge don't want shit else to do with the case. We'll stay on top of this one as it unfolds and what have you. So, if it ain't one thing, boy, I tell you, it's just the same. It's the same play over and over again, and it's not gonna stop. Not gonna stop. Not in this system. Mrs. O says, gang in blue. Yep. Blue gang. Next up in the lineup.
Should the
WLW2. We got a lot coming from them. Boy. I gotta remember what city this is. WLW. Got a lot of content from them. Thank you, WLWT Channel 5. Y'all are doing y'all thing over there. Keep it pumping. Keep it pumping. Keep it pumping. All right, so check this out. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. Let's just hop right on into it.
Should the unborn have equal protection under the law? A new bill introduced by Ohio lawmakers is reigniting the state's abortion debate.
The legislation would effectively ban and criminalize abortion in nearly all circumstances. WLWT News 5's Giacomo Luca live this morning with reaction from both sides here. And Giacomo, does this bill contradict the state constitution?
Yeah, Kelly, well, it does, and that's exactly what it's intended to do. Look, it was just 2 years ago, Ohio voters approved that constitutional amendment protecting and guaranteeing reproductive rights, including access to abortion. But now some Ohio lawmakers are trying to overturn that, hoping to pass that law and take that fight right back to the courts. Now, supporters of this Ohio Prenatal Equal Protection Act, just introduced at the State House, would define legal personhood as beginning at conception while giving equal protection under the law to a pregnant woman's fertilized egg. Supporters say it's a moral imperative to protect life from its earliest moments and that abortion is a form of homicide. Opponents argue it goes far beyond banning abortion, impacting IVF treatments, threatening women's health, and violating the state constitution. Now, political experts and activists on both sides agree if this legislation advances, it will spark a legal battle that could reach the highest courts.
They want to use the power of the government.
So in Ohio, a lot of shit going on in Ohio. They want to raise the issue back up again. So they're banning abortions. And I don't get it. I don't get it. Why this is such a want for the woman. Well, I get it, because ultimately it enables is what I'm trying to not enable. Yeah, it enables for you to be sexually immoral. It's another thing in place so you won't be sexually responsible, period. And I know it's murder. Once that embryo splits in two, it's a life. or better yet, once that embryo is fertilized, it's a life. It's a life. Well, my body, my choice. Well, it's not really your body, it's the Most High's. And you are a spirit that is in this vessel to prove that you can overcome the temptations that you have had problems with in your previous lives. That's a whole nother subject. But I want to get into the statistics because most women, or the ones who are advocates for abortions, run this bullshit. Well, what about rape or SA? Excuse me, YouTube. SA and things of that nature. And we about to go over some statistics. Okay? We about to go over some statistics. And then you tell me what it really is. Pregnancy rate after SA, overall estimate, an often cited study published in the American Journal. %5 of SA victims of reproductive age, 12 to 45, become pregnant. 5% of victims become pregnant. That study estimated about 32,000 pregnancies from SA occur each year in the U.S. Updated reports by the U.S. Department of Justice reinforce similar figures, noting that approximately 3 million American women have experienced SA-related pregnancy in their lifetime. About 1,700 pregnancies annually were associated with SA and estimates from the Guttmacher Institute, a research group on reproductive health. Because one of the arguments is, well, we're doing this for women's health. But 5% of SA victims become pregnant. I'm not done. I know you ready to cut me. If we was having an open discussion and I had one of you ladies, we had an open discussion, you cut me off. Victim demographics and risk factors. Age group at highest risk. Adolescents and teens are more vulnerable to pregnancy from SA due to higher fertility rates, lack of access to emergency contraceptive or medical care, power imbalances, and inability to report abuse, especially in case of incest or cohesion. Type of assault. Intimate partner, SA, is more likely to result in pregnancy than assault by a stranger due to repeated access and lack of protection use. Outcomes of SA-related pregnancies. According to research by Holmes, 1996, 50% of SA-related pregnancies were carried to term. 32% ended in abortion. 12% ended in miscarriage. A small portion, 6%, placed a child for adoption. So out of that 5% that actually became pregnant due to SA, 50% of that 5% carried to term. Or did I, let me not misquote that. Let's go back. Yep, 5% of SA victims become pregnant. This goes into barriers to prevent. Statistics of pregnancies ending in abortion. Overall abortion rate, according to Guttmacher Institute, 2023, that's 25% in the U.S. ends in abortion, excluding miscarriages. 25% of pregnancies end in abortion. In 2020, approximately 930,000 abortions were performed in the U.S. Abortion rate was about 14.4 abortions per 1,000 women aged 15 to 44. Rough average of 100 pregnancies in the U.S. 60 result in live birth, 25 in induced abortion, 15 result in miscarriage. Among teen pregnancies, abortion rates are higher, around 30 to 40%, because we don't want to interrupt the potential life of the young girl. She has her whole life ahead of her. Now, my argument is I have a problem with it either way because it's murder. There's other options. I do understand why you will not want a child as a result of SA. I get it. But because my mindset is based off scripture, I have to answer in that way and believe in that way. But I get it. And in my opinion, if abortions were to be allowed, it should be allowed only for that. But that's not what y'all want. Y'all want widespread access, whether you got it through SA or not. You want it as a form of birth control. And only 5% of victims, of SA victims, end up pregnant. Abortion rates declined from peak in 1980s and 90s, but started to rise again in 2020 to 2023. Statistics, because this is the umbrella or the guys behind the argument, women's health. Statistics of abortion due to health reasons. Here are the most accurate and up-to-date statistics on abortions due to health reasons, including both maternal health risks and fetal abnormalities. Based on a Guttmacher Institute study 2004, which is still widely cited due to limited newer comprehensive data. Women were allowed to select multiple reasons for their abortion. Here is the breakdown. Reason for abortion: concern of own health, 12%. Possible fetal health problems, 13%. Rape or incest. I'm sorry, YouTube, I did it again. SA or incest, 1%. Life-threatening maternal conditions, less than 1%. So what is this telling us? 12 plus 13 equals 25, plus 1 equals 26, and then we got less than 1%. Let's call that 26.5. That's 26.5% of abortions are being done with under reasonable reasons. That means 75% of abortions is done for the reason of life quality, because you just don't want it. And that's the problem. That's where the problem comes into play. That's the problem. %75% of y'all is doing it because it's available. It's a form of contraceptive to you. It's a form of getting out of the responsibility or enabling you to be irresponsible with your sexual activity, your sexual choices. That's a problem. Mom said some clinics turn some women down after 12 or more abortions. Is it addictive? They say like getting tattoos can become addictive or what have you, you know what I'm saying? You know, is it addictive like that? Well, you go get fucked and get your baby plucked? Is that what's up? %75% of y'all have bullshit reasons for deleting your baby. That's a problem. You are stone cold, heartless murderers, period. End of story. If it ain't being essayed, if it's not an essay reason, if it's not because it's a strong possibility that you may pass giving birth, if there's some abnormalities that, you know what I'm saying, and are they fatal health problems? Is it a chance that the baby will not survive regardless? I still say that's in the Most High's hand if that's the case. So that 13% of possible fetal health problems, that ain't really on you to make a decision on. But we gonna leave it at that as a justified reason for deletion. We're gonna leave that on the table. So we stick with 75% of y'all are on some bullshit, man. You on some bullshit. Straight up. Straight up. And the only real reason is your body, your choice. Wives are getting deletions against their husband's wishes. Y'all just buck wilding and going crazy. Y'all, it's ridiculous. Y'all out of your minds. That's a problem. 75% of y'all are just evil. Let me get to this next story. Where we at on time? Where are we at on time? We at 2 hours. Okay. The next story I have, okay, let's hit it. We here. We gonna get it.
Atlanta's water boys are accused of using.
There's some bullshit going on in Atlanta. And expect for this to spread.
Using Cash App to scam drivers out of a lot of money. This week alone, 2 trusting victims have come forward to say they were robbed of more than $1,000.
They say they only meant to send a few bucks to the teens who sell water at intersections throughout the city. Fox 5's Rob D'Arienzo is live in Midtown tonight. Rob, it's an important warning.
Yeah, that's right, guys. They say no good deed goes unpunished, and these victims tell me they were just trying to send a couple bucks to the water boys over Cash App, but when they handed their phones to them to put in their usernames, they got scammed.
If y'all are in Atlanta, do not give any money to the water boys.
It was a bottle of water that cost Tristan Richardson $1,100. She encountered Atlanta's infamous water boys off the downtown connector in Midtown earlier this week.
One of the boys came up to my window, and I let my window all the way down, and I was like, I don't have any cash.
The water boy told her he'd take Cash App, so she put in her $2 payment and tried to get his username.
And then he was like, he took the phone, he was like, no, let me just type it in, you're not typing it right.
As soon as she got her phone back, she realized she messed up.
When he gave
You gotta be a special type of stupid.
You're such a dumb piece of shit.
That's a little strong, but
You're such a dumb piece of shit.
you got to be a special type of stupid. That's just not being street smart. Not at all. Not at all. So do not give anybody control over your financial apps. Okay? Here's my phone. Put in your shit. Send and give it back to me. Complete stranger. You got to be a special type of stupid. So that's what's going on. Okay? So, and, I get it. There's people that, just don't think like that, right? Okay? They just gullible like that. Okay, fine. All right, so this message goes out to the gullibles in the world. Do not hand your phone over to anyone on any instance and have them so-called perform their own transaction from you to them. All right? So that's what's going on. These kids, or they look like kids, these YNs, trying to sell you a bottle of water, hoping that you don't have cash. And if you don't, I got Cash App, and here's my name. You type it in, it don't come up. It's not working. Oh, well, let me put it in for you. And then you just without thinking, trying to, be nice and what have you, you succumb to the trickery. So that's what's up. All right. I will say this: if you don't have cash, pass. All right. For the water boys, you know how the kids and what have you had the fundraisers and what have you. You just, if you don't have cash, don't have a couple dollars, don't even do the change unless you just say, just give me the water bottle. Here go $10 for your cause. You know what I'm saying? Uh-oh. 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 Take heaters in the house. What's going on, Take Heat? Good evening to you. So that's what's happening. If have exact change, or you know what I'm saying, if you have exact change for these people out here that's doing that thing or what have you, and or if you don't have exact change, you know what I'm saying, and you don't want to, and you need change, I strongly suggest don't do it, because you can hand them that $5 and you ain't even getting your water. You might get your water, but you ain't getting no change. And most definitely don't hand them your phone so they can perform their own transaction. Okay? Stop being dumbasses out here. All right, next. The main topic of the show, RKelly. All right. So the story is that he overdosed in prison. All right. So let's get right into it. All right, let's go.
Not even a week ago, a lawyer for RKelly told me live on this program that someone is trying to kill his client in prison. He even outlined an alleged contract on RKelly's head, which makes today's news just a little jarring, to say the least. RKelly, real name Robert Kelly, was rushed to the hospital on Friday, allegedly having been overdosed with his own prison medication. His attorney, Bo Brindley, joins me live now, again with the details. Welcome back to the show, Bo. So, wow, you said it, and then within days, something odd happened. What was it actually that happened on Friday to your client, RKelly?
Well, it was Thursday evening when he was administered his anxiety and sleeping medication in solitary confinement. So he got the medication on Thursday as usual. He has to have it administered because this is prison and he's in solitary. So he wakes up early Friday morning. He's feeling faint. He sees black spots. He tries to stand. He collapses. He crawls to the door of his cell and loses consciousness. When they get him on the gurney, the prison officials indicate they want to take him to the medical center there at the facility on site. But that facility was not able to treat him, and they took him off-site to Duke University Hospital, where he was diagnosed with an overdose, having received basically 2 times the necessary dosage and the appropriate dosage of his medication. And then while there, Mr. Kelly outlined his concerns about blood clots in his legs. A scan was done by the hospital, and they found blood clots in both legs and in his lungs, and wanted to do a procedure to address that and keep him in the hospital for 7 days. He was given a treatment plan. Within an hour, officers came in who had custody of Mr. Kelly. And as we are told, they came in with not just handguns at their sides, with actual AR-15 style rifles, removed him from the hospital without the procedure, without the surgical intervention that they said he needed. And they returned him to solitary confinement, where he sits today with blood clots in his lungs. Given what happened last week and all the skepticism that it was met with, even here on this show, I noted your skepticism, I understand. But the prison officials themselves now seem to be removing any doubt that I have that this is real and it's happening in real time.
And the skepticism, of course, is because the allegation is that it's the Bureau of Prisons, the federal government, trying to kill your client, which I think a lot of people would meet with healthy skepticism. But I guess my next question would be, given this pattern of facts that you just laid out, do you have doctors and medical professionals at Duke that would be willing to testify that they wanted to treat R. Kelly and that the Bureau of Prisons refused that and took him out at gunpoint?
Sources at Duke University Hospital has confirmed for us that Mr. Kelly was there, that Mr. Kelly was forcibly removed, that Mr. Kelly was treated for an overdose, and that there was treatment needed for blood clots. We do have that information. What we are trying to obtain is the medical records that support it. We need the necessary waivers signed by Mr. Kelly, which is not easy as he sits in solitary confinement. But I'm going to see him tomorrow. I'm going to get the executed waivers. I'm going to have those medical records in my hands as soon as possible. But I do have confirmation that what Mr. Kelly's reporting did happen, as extraordinary as it is. And we are fighting very hard to get him back in the hospital and save his life.
Okay, so in mid-June, R. Kelly is he's serving a 30-year sentence. He suffered a severe overdose after being placed in solitary confinement. That's interesting. So we're gonna put you in what they call ADSEG, administrative segregation, and then give you a high dosage of anxiety and sleep medication. Okay, so he ended up fainting and collapsing. He was rushed to Duke University Hospital, where doctors also detected life-threatening blood clots in his lungs and legs. Okay. That they say required urgent surgery. Surgery he was reportedly denied by our prison officials. So he been had this situation going on. They was aware of it, and they did not get him medical attention. Kelly's attorneys argue this episodes reflect deliberate indifference to human life, and it's part of a broader concern over his continued confinement conditions and alleged threats to his safety, including a supposed murder for hire plot involving prison staff and inmates, according to thesun.com. Okay, the Bureau of Prisons have not publicly confirmed or denied the overdose claim or details surrounding his medication. Okay, and federal prosecutors describe Kelly as a serial child molester. And we know, we either know for sure or we have heard what they do with child predators when they're on the inside. So Kelly's team has filed an emergency motion seeking release to home confinement. That's not happening. They also requested a presidential pardon. Well, Trump's on a roll with that, so he might get it, arguing that prison conditions amount to crude and unusual punishment. So, Trump might be like, hey, well, Kelly, let me know. I'll give you the pardon. This, as long as you told me if you grabbed him by the pee, I'll let him go. If you did that, if you grabbed him by the pee, that's all. You all right with me? That's Trump's slogan. Grab him by the pee, you all right with me? All right. So that's what's going on with Mr. R. Kelly. So he's getting judgment. He's getting judgment. He's getting judgment. We'll stay on top of that story and as it develops as well. And see how things turn out for the man. In the meantime, we're going into the latter half of the show, but before that, Mrs. O got something to say.
Shalom, family. This is Mrs. O. Thank you for joining our channel. If you enjoy our content, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. If you would like to support our channel, you can do so by scanning the QR code to the Cash App or the PayPal in the lower left corner. We would greatly appreciate it. Enjoy the show.
All right. So do us a favor. We getting the comments in, that's for sure. All praises on that thing. And like and share, okay? Like and share if you enjoy the comment on this channel. Okay, for Surreal Sunday Snatch Shenanigan, we have this monster coming up. 6-year-old girl in critical condition after hammer attack. Mother charged with attempted murder. We ain't there yet, Mark. We ain't there yet. We working on, we getting to that point. We almost there. Couple more minutes. We got Snatch Shenanigans, and then we got this week's tidbit in health. Then we got that hot video. All right. So this is what we got now. We got Surreal Sundays, Snatch Shenanigans. And this monster is up next. Let's get it.
Good evening. Officers discovered the brutal attack after they were called to the scene on Wilson Avenue in the Park Duval neighborhood around 12:45 this afternoon.
An arrest report says Zainab Abdi's daughter suffered multiple skull fractures and a brain bleed. At last word, the child was in critical condition at Norton Children's Hospital. WLKY's Jamie Mays is live at Metro Corrections with more on this very disturbing case. Jamie?
Rick, Vicki, that mother is being held here at Metro Corrections. We spoke to some neighbors earlier today who said they were extremely upset to find out that child had been attacked. Neighbors are in shock and disbelief after police say a mother beat her 6-year-old daughter with a hammer.
I think it was just terrible. And I don't know what type of pressure the child mother is up under for her to do something like that.
Police say they were called to the 2900 block of Wilson Avenue around 12:45 on Thursday afternoon. When they got to the scene, they found the child with blunt force injuries to her head. She was taken to the hospital in critical condition.
I have 5 children, and that just scares me, like knowing that this is what our societies became.
The girl's mother, 40-year-old Zainab Abdi, was arrested and charged with attempted murder. When officers interviewed Abdi, she said she admitted to hitting her daughter an unknown amount of times and said she becomes extremely angry and has difficulty controlling herself. A reaction neighbors like Brittany Lindell say is unfathomable.
It gave me cold chills all over my arms. It's disgusting. I don't understand how someone could get to that point of anger, especially with an innocent child.
And Lindell says she's heartbroken to know a child was brutally beaten by a woman who was expected to protect her.
I would just hope we get justice for this child.
And Abdi is expected to be arraigned in court in the morning. Reporting live, I'm Jamie Mays, WLKY News. Now at
Okay, so let me get back on that story right quick. And that was at 124. Zainab Abdi. This monster beat her child with a hammer. I can't imagine that experience. I don't even like the imagery that comes up in my mind with that. How much you want to bet Child Protective Services had an inkling on this monster as well? And she, like all of them, fall through the cracks. This cannot be the one incident. This is one of several, of many. Because you lose your anger? Well, when you get to prison, I hope several people lose their anger, can't control their anger on you. I hope you get your judgment. For real. Zainab Abdi, you are this week's Surreal Sunday snatch. Get the fuck out of here. All right. Well, I have one little segment right after that we was gonna go into, but this was a story. You know, we beat up on the men as a society all the time, and although this ended in tragically, we're gonna celebrate this father anyway. He deserves to be celebrated for what he did. And this is what men do every day for their families.
Family of a father who died while trying to save his daughter from drowning is speaking only to CBS News Miami. The tragedy happening yesterday on Father's Day. 33-year-old Antoine Wilson is being described as a devoted dad who jumped into the water off Fort Lauderdale Beach to rescue his little girl. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Lauren Pastrana. Elliot Rodriguez has the night off. CBS News Miami's Anna McAllister is live in Fort Lauderdale with the exclusive tonight. Anna, this family is devastated.
Lauren, you're absolutely right. As you can imagine, this family is heartbroken. They're picking up the pieces left behind from this loss. And I asked them, what is one word that comes to mind when you think of Antoine Wilson? And they all said the same thing. That one word is hero.
He had my utmost love all the rest of my life. I will never, ever forget about Antoine Wilson. He was my hero.
Kathy Malone and her family are extremely close and devoted to each other. Her grandson, 33-year-old Antoine Wilson, took that love and channeled it into his role as a father.
He did what he knew best to do as a father, to save his child. So you know right then, that's a whole lot of love for a parent to sacrifice their life for their child.
Malone says her grandson Antoine went to Fort Lauderdale Beach near B Ocean Hotel on Seabreeze Boulevard to hang out with his family for Father's Day. She says as two of his daughters and his niece were in the ocean, he noticed something was wrong.
But he see that his kids are struggling with the water, so they are practically about to drown. So he went out to rescue them.
Malone says two of the children were able to get out on their own, but Wilson had to save his youngest daughter, who's 10, from drowning. That's when he was pulled under as rescue crews and a Good Samaritan tried to help.
A lot of people was screaming, help, help, help. I didn't think about anything. I didn't even told my wife I'm going in the water again. I jumped into the water.
When Ocean Rescue found Antoine, they brought him, his daughter, and the Good Samaritan to the hospital. But Antoine didn't make it.
He loved his child, and he was willing to sacrifice his life for his child.
Antoine's family says he was an outspoken, caring, and spiritual man who loved nature and went by the nickname, the Conscious One. But above all else, they say he will be remembered for making the ultimate sacrifice a true testament of a father's love. And both Antoine's daughter and that Good Samaritan are out of the hospital. But for now, reporting live from
All right, so not too much more to say on that. We salute Antoine Wilson for doing what most of us men will do for our families. All right? So everybody keep his family in prayer, and Lord will, we see you again in the kingdom. All right? Now we're going to go over to this week's Tidbit in Health. You ladies, y'all not going to like me for this one.
Peace and blessings. Welcome back to the channel once again, where I help guide you along your wellness journey towards a more holistic and natural way of not only living, but also healing as well too. And in today's video, we're going to explore a recent consumer report that is connected to toxins and synthetic hair for weaves, wigs, braids, extensions, etc. to not only fibroids, infertility, but also cancer as well too. Now, I'm making this video based upon your requests. I did a recent video where I talked about some tips on how you can grow your hair naturally, both for men and women. And in that video, I had to bring up the fact that the reason why so many people are losing their hair is due to toxicity, okay? And one of those sort of attributes or causes of toxicity is coming from the products. And in this case, we're talking about synthetic hair. Now, I think this is a really important conversation for the ladies out there, especially because I have 3 sisters. And in my family, I have cousins who are hairdressers and stylists. And so I grew up watching my cousins do my sister's hairs and my cousins do my cousin's hair, and watching them add layers and extensions and sometimes braids, etc. Okay? And as I became a doctor and then later on took a more holistic approach, it made me always ask the question around, you know, relaxers and the type of products that they were using for shampoos and moisturizers and etc. And so I would take these products and look at them and look at the ingredient label and see all these chemicals in them. So I would start to bring this to the attention of my family. But now what I'm realizing is not just the products, it's also the hair that they're using, the synthetic hair that they're using too. And so when I would bring these sort of things up, the next evolution of the conversation was, well, this is a protective hairstyle for me, because we'll go on family vacations, and then, you know, one of the things that our women love to do is get the braids, okay, which we love. It looks good. I mean, I remember the first time seeing braids as a small kid was in the movie Poetic Justice, and it looked amazing on Janet Jackson. But now we got to revisit this, okay? And so don't stop the video. I need you to listen, because this is a consumer report that came out and tested some of the most popular brands of hair that women are using today, okay? And so we have to reevaluate this whole idea of protective hairstyles, because it may not be protecting your health at all. It may be actually putting your health at risk, okay? Especially after you leave this video, all right? So with that being said, this new consumer report that came out in February, of this year, 2025, tested 10 of the most popular synthetic wigs and hair braiding products that are out there, okay? Some of the lists include things like Magic Fingers, Shake and Go, wavy weave, wavy hair weave. There's even a brand called Organique that sounds like organic, Master Mix, but there's nothing organic about it at all. Sassy Collection, Connect Along, which is a very, very popular brand as well too. Afro Twist, Sensational, Expressions, and the list goes on and on. So they literally tested some of the most popular brands. All right. Now, the reason why this conversation is so important is because this isn't just a thing that African American women do. Okay. We're now learning that everybody uses, doesn't matter what ethnicity, like everybody uses these type of hairs. Okay. These type of synthetic hairs. So it's just really important to understand that this isn't just a Black issue. Okay. However, Black women are the largest consumers of hair and wig extensions. Okay. This is a $3 billion industry. And with that being said, the reason why consumer reports like this are very important is because these industries are often unregulated. Okay. Unregulated in the fact that nobody's testing these products. And the idea that most women are buying these products and they're thinking they're just synthetic hair and there's nothing that is actually, harmful to their health. What people have to understand about products like these, especially when you are attaching them to your hair, to your skull, to your scalp, anything you put on your skin goes in, okay? Anything you put on your skin goes in. Now, we'll have another conversation around lotions and all that kind of stuff and sunscreen, but today we're going to talk about hair. And it's really, really important because when you think about how long most people or women are using these extensions or using the braids, how long they have them on their skin for prolonged periods of time, then you will understand why this could be potentially why there's such an explosion in reproductive issues. There's such an explosion in cancers in women. There's such an explosion in autoimmune conditions as well too. So this is a very important conversation that nobody is really, really talking about. All right, so it's just really important. So let's talk about some of the top findings that they found in this consumer report that came out in February of 2025. The first thing, again, they tested 10 of the most popular sort of brands. So I think that's really important. Did they test all of them? No. But with this small sample size, and it being some of the most popular, I want you to keep that in reference, okay? What they discovered was that 9 out of 10 of the products used that I mentioned before, the Magic Fingers, the Shake and Go, the Connect Along, the Sensational, 9 out of 10 of them found lead in their products. Now you may be asking, how does lead get in here? Well, if you were working with me one-on-one or working with another doctor and we wanted to do a heavy metals test on you, guess where we would get the sample from? Your hair. So that's the first thing. So if we can test your hair to find heavy metals, then rest assured, it definitely can already be in the synthetic version of the hair. Now, what's really important to understand about this is that often these synthetic hairs are manufactured from synthetic, ingredients and, products. And in the process of manufacturing them, they use chemicals. Okay, so this is how the lead gets in there. But what's really important to consider is what happens when somebody is overly exposed to lead and they become toxic from lead. Okay, we saw this issue happen in Flint, Michigan when the water got tainted with so much lead that the people couldn't drink the water. Okay, so here are a few of the signs and symptoms of somebody who has lead toxicity. headaches, fatigue, brain and nervous system damage, okay? Seizures, increase in blood pressure, anemia, kidney issues, sleep issues, and reproductive issues, okay? Sound familiar? Okay, low libido, all of these type of things. This comes from just lead poisoning, okay?
And don't forget heightened retardation. Yeah, lead makes you even more goofier than you already are.
Okay, this is what we saw in Flint, Michigan, just from the lead poisoning. Okay, so the Consumer Report found that 9 out of 10 products had lead in them. Okay, by the way, before I move on to the next thing, there was lead in the paint back in the prior to the 80s. In the 70s, they could use lead in paint. Okay, they outlawed that, where you can't use lead in paint, but it's in your hair. Okay, and the lead that was in the paint of old homes that got painted over 10 times by now, it's still causing issues for a lot of people when you live in those old homes that had lead paint. So just imagine what it does when you attach it to your scalp and it's on your neck. And this is a primary area of blood flow. Okay, so just keep all of that in mind. And your lymphatic system is here as well too. Anything you put on your skin goes in. So that's the first thing that they found. The second thing that they found was that 10 out of 10 of the products contain what are called VOCs. VOCs are volatile organic compounds. Okay, now don't let the name organic fool you. Okay, volatile organic compounds. These include compounds like acetone, okay, that you quite often find in nail shops. And if you go and look at the studies on people who work in nail shops, which has massive amounts of acetone, look at the cancer rates of people who work in those nail shops. I mean, as soon as you walk into the nail shop, all you can smell is the acetone. So volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, are compounds like acetone. They found those VOCs in 100% of all of the 10 products that they tested. Okay, these include things like polypropylene. They include things like PET, which is polyethylene terephthalate. Also include polyvinyl chloride as well too. And all of these are considered potentially cancerous.
Side note, I spent 21 years in the water treatment industry for Southeast Michigan, the regional supplier for Southeast Michigan. There's VOCs in your public water as well.
Okay, and in addition to those potentially cancerous compounds, they also found in 100%, 10 out of 10 of the products, other carcinogenic compounds as well too, like benzene or methylene chloride, okay, or naphthalene. Okay, so they found in 100% of the products carcinogenic compounds, 100% of the products VOCs, and then 9 out of the 10 products lead. Okay, now it's really, really important to understand that quite often you may be thinking to yourself, well, I haven't had any issues. When the real issue is you had issues, but you never connected those issues to the fact that for probably most of your life, because I see like even my little cousins who are like 11 or 12 get braids, and they've been getting braids all their life. Okay, so now they're in their 30s, they're in their 40s, and they have been getting braids all their life. I have cousins and family members I don't believe I've ever seen their real hair. Okay, so just imagine somebody wearing this hair day by day, year after year, decade after decade for 3 decades. and the amount of toxicity that's going into their bodies. And what people don't understand is that many of the VOCs that I mentioned earlier are linked to skin irritations, okay, respiratory issues, and cancers, okay? So you may think that you're not experiencing any issues, but then you got this skin issue that you went to your doctor and it doesn't go away, but you're still wearing the hair, okay? Some women have gotten their hair braided and instantly broken out. That is exactly what it was. It was these VOC compounds, okay? Some women have noticed that they develop asthma, okay? Some women have noticed that quite possibly they had a newborn, and when they got the newborn, right before they were having the baby, they got a protective style because they thought that this hair was free of any chemicals. Like, nobody's looking for chemicals in hair. And so they get this protective hairstyle, and where do you put your baby? Right here, where your hair is. Okay, and so not only can you develop asthma, but the baby can develop asthma as well from, coming into contact with the hair, which has the chemicals in it, but also the cancers as well too. Okay, so it's just really, really important to understand, based on this consumer report, it's sort of explaining to us not only did it contain these type of compounds, but it contained many chemicals and other ingredients that weren't even on the label as well too. So that's really, really important. Now, the other really big issue is that what most people don't understand is these chemicals that are in the hair, you can't necessarily wash them out, okay? It's not a washout process because the hair is the chemical in and of itself. Okay, the synthetic hair is the chemical in and of itself. And so over time, what's happening is just like when you get bottled water, it has an expiration date on it. That expiration date is there not because the water goes bad, it's there because the plastic breaks down. What's the same thing with synthetic hair? As that hair begins to break down, it's the chemicals that are coming out as that hair over time is breaking down. All right, so that's really important. And what speeds up that process is whenever you add heat to it. Okay, so that's if you have extensions and you add heat to it, and when you're trying to press it out and get it flat, or if you have braids and then you burn the ends off just to kind of get those ends to be tight at the end. When you burn those ends, that will cause the chemicals to release as well too. Or when you wash your hair in hot water, that will cause the chemicals to release as well too. This accelerates the release of those chemicals. So that's
Side note, that's a reason why you should not drink water after it's been sitting in your car or if it's been in sunlight, because the makeup of that plastic bottle, them chemicals leach into the water. Okay, so do not drink water that's bottled water that's been sitting in sunlight. Okay.
That's hugely important. Now, I know a lot of people out there thinking to themselves, well, this is why you get 100% human hair. But guess what? They've done tests, and in many cases, the 100% human hair was actually synthetic hair. Okay? Now, I didn't know anything about the hair industry at all. I didn't know where it was coming from. I didn't know whether it was real or fake. To me, it was just none of my business. But I remember I lived in India for almost 6 months. And when I was living in India, I was in Mumbai. Was I in Bombay? And as I'm on the street, a guy walks up to me and he says, "Are you looking for hair?" In a very thick Indian accent. And I was like, "Hair?" I was like, "No." And he was like, "No, I have human hair." Okay. And he shows it to me and I'm like, "Human hair?" I was like, I have no idea what he's talking about. And he points into a little building, and he's showing like a lady with hair on her arm like this. And I will tell you, it's very popular in India for young girls and women to cut their hair, like to literally cut their hair and to sell it, okay? Now, a lot of people may be thinking at this point, well, if you can get that, then it's better. But here's what me and my sister were talking about, because we were having a spiritual conversation about, you know, things that she was going through in her life. And I was asking her, what is it that many of your girlfriends do and my homegirls do whenever they go through a lot in life? Maybe it's a relationship.
Right on, Mark. Absolutely. Um, in India, it's a form of sacrifice to their gods. Okay, so he's referring, and Mrs. O had informed me that in a lot of cases, the women they're shaving against their will. So some are consenting to shaving themselves as a ritual, like Mr. Uh, Mark Harris has just expressed, and then some are is being against their will, and that's trauma. Okay, so anytime you take on another person's whatever was part of their person gets into your spirit. That's why, well, in this world, I hate to use this term, having a low body count or a low body count is essential, because the more people you be with, the more spirits you take on. And the same thing with the hair. Okay, anytime you take on another person's anything, you're taking on uh, an element of their spirit. Okay, so we gonna cut it right here with him. Fibroids, infertility, cancer, um, spiritual. Okay, it's best to not deal with synthetic or someone else's hair. Okay, and I get a lot of barbershop feeds in my YouTube, so I'm seeing men getting the same thing done. They getting, I guess it's lace fronts or what have you, or they're getting something glued to the top of their scalp. So the men are doing the same thing now. Okay, they got the fake beards you can put on, they got the hair you can put on. So the men are doing the same thing. Stop it. Okay, work with what you got. You see, I got my struggle locks going on. Okay, I don't give a shit. My struggle locks is my hair, and a little bit of Mrs. O's hair too. All right, to help out with the length. But be that as it may, and we've already taken on each other's spirit, so the hair doesn't matter. So use what you got, and use who you with. Use what they got, okay? But don't go outside of that. All right, folks. So that's it for this week's tidbit in health. Use your own shit. Stop dealing with this fake hair and what have you. Because in most cases, you're getting that straight look anyway. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to look like your oppressor. You know what I mean?
In the name of white Jesus.
That's right. In the name, that's who you want. I'm gonna get a soundbite. You think you Caucasian? We gonna use that one. So let's get into that hot video, all right? Let's cue that thing on up. All right, sit back and relax as we coast into the end of the show. All right, let's get it.
Now flying.
Southwest. Season changing, we go harder. Barely get sleep, I hit the streets, I got my guard up. I know we probably did some things that we not proud of. That's why the father had to leave us at the bottom. But I ain't tripping cause he got us. We on a mission, time ticking on that timer. Taking the kingdom ain't no secret, bro, we got us. Cause ain't no respect without power. Rise and shine, early grind, recognize I'm certified. 12 tribes worldwide, don't act like you ain't heard about it. I'm a young kind of fly, Babylon traumatized. Hit the block, prophesy, hit me when you down the ride. Tell me now how you figure. You rob me for everything and then break me down to a red clay be the dirt in them shackles of iron bigger. System made to enslave an intelligent mind. Listen, I got crumbs I barely eat. I got a bed I never sleep. I got a son I never see. So if I'm playing this for keeps, then he can play me for weak. And I ain't playing when I speak. They call it hatred when I'm only saying everything I see. Oppression, all I ever see, and it's making me mad. So every day I'm out here teaching under rebel flags until Messiah come and save me. Babylon enslaved me. Bahamas, that's what made me. But Mississippi raised season. We go harder. Barely get sleep. I hit the streets. I got my guard up. I know we probably did some things that we not proud of. That's why the father had to leave us at the bottom. But I ain't tripping cause he got us. We on a mission, time ticking on that timer. Taking the kingdom ain't no secret, bro, we got us. Cause ain't no respect without power.
Look, see me rising up, you better get back. Harmless as a dove, but you still gon' feel my impact. That young lion, Simba back, nourished off the Similac. Now everything you built is at stake. Don't forget that, so much you gotta pay for. Your destruction I pray for. I do not hit women, but I'm beating on this great whore. I'm no longer ignorant, I made it out that great war. Casting down doctrines now, need I say more? Yes, man, give me my respect now. Babylon falling in my knees on her neck now. She screaming, I can't breathe, I love that sound. Know what I'm saying? You looking at a God in the flesh now. Jeremiah 49, you about to drink of that cup. No, you trembling with fear because the army rising up. Christ told me hold fast up until the day he coming. I'ma give him all I have, hoping that it's good enough.
Seasons changing, we go harder. Barely get sleep, I hit the streets, I got my guard up. I know we probably did some things that we not proud of. That's why the father had to leave us at the bottom. But I ain't tripping cause he got us. We on a mission, time ticking on that timer. Taking the kingdom ain't no secret, bro, we got us. Cause ain't no respect without power.
What you're seeing right now is the resurrection of the 12 tribes. This ain't all of it. This is just a small drop in of what's happening. So be afraid. Be afraid.
All right, all right, all right. That was, let's see, that was Power, Eli versus, featuring Jedediah. Eli featuring Jedediah in Power. I think I figured out, because I had this problem with this thing last week, and I think I figured out what was wrong with it. Let me check it out right quick. Let's see what happens. Still trying to get this Bible app to do what it's supposed to. Let me see something. All right. I hate it when a plan don't come together. Let's get over to, do I have it on the video? Nope, I do not have that on the video screen. Nor do I have it on the double scene. All right. Well, you're just gonna have to trust me on this one. So we was talking about RKelly. Sean Combs, even the correction office dealing with the inmates. And it's some scriptures I want to pull out before we head out of here. We're going to start with it's a reason why RKelly and Combs are going through what they're going. It's judgment, straight up. If they would have took on the opportunity, because each and every one of us is, well, not each and every one of us, but most of us is going to get oh, you want ostrich of the week? Oh man, I would have to. I'm gonna see if I can switch over to that because that's on a different scene collection. I would have to see if that will switch over easily for us. But I'll play that, and then I'll play Surreal Sundays outro. But the reason why they're going through what they're going through is because they're not, or they haven't adhered to the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments. What if they just follow the commandments, right? We got Hebrews 13:4. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed is undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. Okay? We got Ephesians 5:5. For this ye know that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man, who is an idolater, hath any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of God. Here's a tidbit for you. Colossians 3:5. Mortify thereof your members, which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry. Mark 7:21, for from within out of the heart of men proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornicators, murderers, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, inordinate affection, lasciviousness. That's that weird sexual behavior. and evil eye, blasphemy, pride, and foolishness. All these evil things come from within and defile the man. Okay? If they would have followed this counsel, Proverbs 6:25, lust not after her beauty in thy heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread. Ain't that what they're experiencing now? They have been brought down to a very low state because of they didn't follow Proverbs 6:25. Revelations 21:8. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and the murderers and the whoremongers and the sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have they part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. The final death. The one you ain't coming back from if you don't repent and get your shit together. They have an addiction that they have not chosen to let go, to repent from. And I'm gonna leave this. We're gonna play. I'm gonna try to switch over to the other scene, see if we can get that ostrich of the week going. And if not, we're gonna head on out. We're gonna leave you with this: an Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, better known as, or not known as, but also known as Sirach. Ecclesiasticus 23:17. All bread is sweet to a whoremonger. It don't matter if it's yellow, brown, fresh out the shower, or 5 days old. He will not leave off till he dies. Isn't that what is happening to him? RKelly up in there getting poisoned, overdosed, because of his whoremonger's ways. So, will they be in the state they was in if they was just to follow the law? We all got our demons. The thing is, accepting, that's what it is. You need to take care of it. And repent doesn't mean continually do after and say, oh God, I'm sorry, and then go back and do it, oh God, I'm sorry, because there's grace. That's not what that is for. It's for you to recognize what you're doing, stop doing it, and stop doing it. And hopefully you're not in the midst of your sin when Christ cracked that sky, because at that time, ain't no grace. Your chance is up to get it right. All bread is sweet to a whoremonger. He will not leave off till he die. Isn't that the problem with just about all of us? We have a lust that we refuse to grab and get a hold of. Of course, the thoughts is going to come up every once in a while. The urge going to come up every once. The thing is not to act it out. The thing is to get into prayer, to get into fasting, to get into scripts, to get that shit off your mind, build yourself up. Because when them urges, them lusts, and them thoughts come up, that's the devil revisiting you again. checking your temperature. You're getting tested. You're going to choose door number 1, door number 2. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? So let's go ahead and see if we can switch over right quick. Hopefully that doesn't mess. All right. Looks okay. Looks like we can do it. All right, looks like I was able to do it. I didn't think I was able to do it. So we're going to go ahead and do Ostrich of the Week. Mrs. O wanted to showcase this for you. Wanted to make sure it worked while we was on here. All right. So, okay. All right, now we're going to head over to Ostrich of the Week, all right? That's funny. All right. I'm going to give you a little treat. I'm going to do it one more time for you. All right. That's pretty funny. And we're going to go back over to Surreal Sundays scene. Okay, we back over here. And we switch it back. All right. So, that's it in a nutshell. Thank you for coming in. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you decided to rock with us here tonight. And we love you and appreciate you for that thing. All right? Y'all be safe out here. Have a great week. Be productive. Be lawful. Okay? All right. So remember, you are your brother and sister's keeper. All right? So with that,
just can't back out, 'cause it getting hard now. You know you built for this. laying down, cause I'm standing on it. Oppression make a grown man mad, make you cry, don't it? I pray to God that life so hard, so I'm calling on ya. I gotta endure until the end, I know they counting on me. Just got some bad news, damn, man, they killed my homie. Hit him 9 times, he never saw it coming. Remember the last time, I think I saw you, bruh. Gave you a flyer with the knowledge, you didn't want it, bruh. Damn, I'll speak my mind, I'ma tell you the truth. It's hard on them, it's hard on us, it's hard on me, it's hard on you. I'm built for this, man, equipped for this. Might get killed for this. I pray you repent before your time is up, your time is spent.
Can't let your guard down, better not let God down. You just can't back out, cause it getting hard now. You know you been for this, just might get killed for this. It's gonna pay off in the end, make sure you get in. Can't let your guard down, better not let God down.